Some top musicians from the U.S. and Cuba take the stage together in Havana for a historic music festival. We'll have the highlights. It's Monday, March 29th, 1999.
This is Channel 10, WPLG. Live, local, late breaking. Channel 10 Eyewitness News Daybreak starts right now.
Many Cubans say they're hoping the historic game between the Baltimore Orioles and the Cuban national team will lead to better relations with the U.S. The Orioles defeated the Cuban team 3-2 in 11 innings yesterday. Cuban leader Fidel Castro watched from the first row behind the plate, sitting between baseball commissioner Bud Selig and the Orioles owner. The other fans in the stands had to be invited to the game.
It's interesting tonight because the Oriole game here against the Cuban team is by invitation only. And the people here have always been told that baseball is for everybody. And now, Fidel has lied to them about that, apparently.
And this is how one Orioles player summed up the historic day.
It's not like you can convince people to all understand or agree why we came over as a group. Hopefully, individually, the majority of people will appreciate that we came.
Of course, the matchup only half over. Now the Cuban team will be playing at Baltimore's Camden Yards on May 3rd.
And the game was just one part of the monumental game in U.S.-Cuba relations. Major American pop stars took to the stage with their Cuban counterparts just hours after the contest. Reporter Mark Joyella was in Havana to cover that part of the story.
Well, a day that began with baseball ended last night with a very unique concert here in Havana. Folks like Jimmy Buffett and Bonnie Raitt coming here to Cuba, not to make a political statement, they say, but rather just to make music. A full house for a first-of-its-kind concert. Cuban performers sharing the stage with some of music's biggest stars.
Great music, nothing else. Just like the baseball players want to play great baseball. Simple as that.
100 performers spent a week here in Cuba composing music and producing a concert filled with new songs written in Spanish and English.
So I'm learning a lot. I get to write with masterful people, and it's a great place.
The concert at the Karl Marx Theater attracted a huge crowd. Many of the Cubans curious to see American performers they know almost nothing about.
When they buy American music, they have to buy, illegal copies, and they don't really know who is singing on the tape or what the CD you call it or anything.
Like the baseball game earlier in the day between the Baltimore Orioles and the Cuban national team, this concert's designed to break down barriers between the two countries. In their words, to build a musical bridge.
Music is the universal language, and I've always believed that, and I think, there's been a lot of bad behavior on both sides of the Gulf Stream, and I think if people can find some common ground to do some things, it can probably be positive for the future.
Now, the first piece performed last night was the only song that was not original. It was Paul Simon's Bridge Over Troubled Waters. The performers' references to the Florida Straits and the ties they'd like to form between the United States and Cuba. In Havana, Mark Joyella, Channel 10 Eyewitness News, Daybreak.